So, welcome everyone to Poetry of Enlightenment Sunday, and today we're going to explore some of the Psalms. The word Psalms means roughly songs, and as most of you probably know, the Psalms are a book of the Bible, a book of the Tanakh, or the Old Testament, as other people call it. And there's about 150 of them. They're basically songs of praise to the infinite, to God. And there's about 150 of them. About 175 are accredited to King David traditionally. I mean, who knows historically who really wrote them? But you'll see paintings of King David with his crown and playing as this little harp. Um, and Even if you've never read any Psalms, you've probably heard the Leonard Cohen song "Hallelujah." Uh, you can't avoid if you've been to a wedding probably in the last 20 years. And I mean, it's a beautiful song. And he's got some beautiful stuff in the first stanza about the baffled king writing that it's about basically the creation of music, and the creation of music as an impulse of praise to the divine, and this idea of the baffled king, and I love that phrase. It just moves me. The Tova, how does that go? Do you have that off the top of your head? Um, but don't
It's
worry.
Kristen. It goes the baffled king composing hallelujah.
Yes, the
So he
baffled.
actually does.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he goes through the chords, and the chords that he plays are the fourth, the first, the fourth, and the fifth, which would not be in ancient Hebrew music, but would be in all the music that Leonard Cohen plays, which would be American music, pop music, jazz, rock, which all of his music is based on those three chords. And as he says, the first, the fourth, the fifth, it's the music's actually doing that. It's very beautiful. Anyway, so it's the same impulse. It's basically, if we want to boil down the whole the message of the Psalms to one word, it's hallelujah. Okay. Um, so if you have, actually, I want to start before we go to the book. If you have this book, great. If you don't worry about it. Um, I want to go to a what's become a more traditional kind of translation. This is um, from the New International Version. Uh, Hold on one sec. Now let me get it from King James. Okay, so here's the way you may have, uh, here's how you may have heard this in church or Sunday school. Um, Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. Okay, and I'm going to stop there. And now, if you go to the version, if those of you have the Stephen Mitchell book here, page 5, we get Stephen Mitchell's translation. And as you may recall, Mitchell is not just an anthologist; he is a really serious scholar of ancient languages. So he can go back, and as well as a deep, lifelong practitioner of meditation. So he's able to go back into the original text and the original languages, really knowing what these words are, their roots, their derivations, and also knowing firsthand some deep experience of the divine. Not the infinite as a secondhand rumor, but as some direct encounter, and bring all that to bear. So his translations are sometimes close to the old ones, sometimes different. So here in the King James version starts, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly." So right away, Stephen Mitchell gives us, "Blessed are the man and the woman." Hello. Another 50% of the population here, which is not excluded. Okay, who have grown. So blessed are the man and the woman who have grown beyond their greed and have put an end to their hatred and no longer nourish illusions. Okay, so walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly becomes they have grown beyond their greed. And I'm guessing if we could go back to the original Hebrew, would find out how Mitchell got to that. Nor standeth in the way of sinners, he says, and have put an end to their hatred. Okay. That makes...
Dean,
Yes, Tova.
I'm reading it in Hebrew, so anytime you want me to say something from the Hebrew, just ask me.
Ah, fantastic. Please. Yeah. So can you help us with that?
Which one? What's the question?
Okay, right. This beginning. This is Psalm 1, verse 1.
Yeah.
Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly.
No, instead of ungodly,
Yeah.
says in Hebrew, the wicked one that didn't walk with the wicked men.
The wicked. Okay. And what is the word that's translated here as man?
Well, in Hebrew, it's just the wicked. So it doesn't even say man or woman.
Doesn't even say man or woman. So that was completely imported. This male pronoun was inserted by the English translators.
Right.
And I've looked at several of the English translations, and they almost all, at least if they're older translations, they all have that.
Well, hang on a sec. It's the wicked that she's saying doesn't say it's a wicked man, but
Yes.
what about the
Yes.
That's the wicked.
So
the man?
So man is not in there at all.
No, but in Hebrew you would conjugate male and female. So here the plural is male plural, but that doesn't mean that it differentiates. That because you include females in the plural.
Right. It's included.
So just I'll say that he didn't listen to the wicked, to the advice of the wicked.
Right.
He didn't walk in the way of the sinful, and he didn't stand. He didn't stand on the way of the sinful, and he didn't sit in the seat of, now this would be like the humorous, silly ones.
Could we say the mockers?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I've seen it translated elsewhere. Those who mock. Actually, it's interesting. There is a thing that Mitchell loses, which I hadn't noticed before, which is walk, stand, sit. I mean, they're all figures of speech, they're all metaphors, but it's an interesting progression, right? It reminds me of when people would ask Maharishi, how can it be that meditation is effortless? And he would say, well, contained within, he said, if you can walk, he says, contained within the ability to walk is the ability to stand. Contained within the ability to stand is the ability to sit. In the same way, contained within the ability to have thoughts is the ability to just sit quietly without engaging in the thoughts. All right. So what I'm seeing here is just this subtle thread from the metaphors of settling down, walk, stand, sit, becoming quieter. But I do like the way Mitchell, I mean, to me, this is just spiritual insight rather than, translator's insight. Right, the stand in the way of sinners. This is the way, especially if you came up in certain churches, you just hear that so much. This idea that sin is, that word, it just sounds like, what was the thing we used to say when we were kids? Ooh, you got cooties. I don't know if any of the rest of you remember that. It's like you're infested with this, this horrible stain. And this idea that it's a stain, original sin, some stain that was there even before you were born. But the word that is translated as sin, at least in the New Testament, it's a Greek word, amartia. And it means missing the mark. It just means like when you shoot an arrow at the target and you miss the bullseye, that's amartia, you're missing the mark. Right? It doesn't have any of that heavy baggage of that we usually attribute to this word sin. It's just, oops, I missed. Okay, let me try again and correct my aim. Let me try to get it a little better next time. Right? So he puts it also in a different way in these more evolutionary terms. Right? Those who have grown beyond their greed. Right? So he translates it with the more generous spiritual outlook that we're all developing. We're all on the way. You can grow beyond your greed. Those who have put an end to their hatred. Right? And no longer nourish illusions, right? And that's no longer nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Why would we scorn? Why would we mock people? Because we're caught up in some illusions of how, I don't know, we're good people there. But actually, what people who engage in a lot of mocking and scorning really are under the illusion that they're bad people. And they have to find someone else to mock, to try to make themselves feel okay. So, second stanza in the King James Version, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. Okay, and Mitchell gives us, but they delight in the way things are. Right? That's a very deep, insightful translation of his delight is in the law of the Lord. It's because we see law of the Lord and we think of law like, a lawgiver. We think of like, laws from the criminal statute. If you do this, you get punished with that. Right? But there's also laws of the universe. Right? This is the way things happen. If you mix together hydrogen and oxygen in the right way, you get water. Right? This is the way it's the way things work. And in fact, from a big point of view, from a big expansive point of view, everything that we think of as, he got punished with this, he got karma for that, That's just, if in fact that's what happened, that's just it's the laws of the universe. It's like laws of physics. It's just, this is the way things are. It's all cause and effect. You do this thing. How did this one go? Oh yeah, this is an old one from Mr. Natural from Zap Comics. Those of you remember Mr. Natural from Zap Comics. He who shits in the road will meet flies upon his return. Right, right. I got your sin and punishment right there. He who shits in the road will meet flies upon his return. It's just physics. It's just cause and effect. There's no judgment there. It's the way things are. It's the way right? It's the way things are. But they delight in the way things are, right? When you get your vision clear enough, you see the way things are not mistaken. Any indulging in "oh poor me," at a certain point we can no longer do that, because we more and more we see there's, even though on the surface there's stuff we would never have chosen for things to happen this way, but there's a deeper level as our eyes get more open, that there's a deep rightness to it all. None of it's wrong. It's all grace. Right? It's all the law of the Lord, or the way things are. Right? And in his law doth he meditate day and night, and Stephen Mitchell says, and they keep their hearts open day and night. Yeah, that is, you keep your heart open, then you see the rightness of things. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. That's really beautiful, actually. The King James, for those of you not familiar with this, the King James Version, which is the most, even though it's, what is it, 400 years old now, it's the most familiar English version because it's so beautiful. This was authorized by King James the First, who was the king during the second half of Shakespeare's career. So this is the English language from the era of Shakespeare, and there was a whole lot of really beautiful poetry in the air at that time. What does Mitchell say? They are like trees planted near flowing rivers, which bear fruit when they are ready. Their leaves will not fall or wither. Everything they do will succeed. Yeah, pretty much the same idea. Okay? Let's do, let me see. Okay, are you all seeing Psalm 23 on the screen now? No, okay. Yeah, I got to do this, and then do this, and then do this. Okay? Psalm 23?
Yes.
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 Okay. All right. We don't have a Stephen Mitchell translation for this, but the King James is pretty awesome. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Ah, man, oh man. Well, I could just read that all day. Tova, could you tell us about the word that is translated here as Lord?
Um, so it's in Hebrew would be Adonai.
Uh huh.
Adonai is the name, but it's written in the name that we are not allowed to pronounce unless we are in the temple. The
Uh huh.
temple, I mean in Jerusalem, not the synagogue, so,
Right.
which is a combination of he was, he is, he will be.
Mm hmm.
It's what you call Jehovah, Jehovah.
Jehovah. Yeah. Right.
That's the word in the Hebrew,
Right.
but it means God.
Right. It's spelled is it's spelled in Hebrew. Is it okay if I spell it, Tova? I
Well,
won't
you
offend
know
anyone.
how?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's spelled Yud He Vav He, which is basically YHVH or YHWH in that neighborhood. And there's a whole lot of lore about the right and wrong pronunciations, and there's all this mystical lore in the Middle Ages that if you get that the pronunciation is secret, and if you get it right, you can rule the universe. All kinds of crazy stuff. But what's interesting is that the way it gets translated consistently through King James and in most English translations is Lord. Now, when we hear Lord, for Lord means a king or a ruler. So it's right away it's human, right? It's implied. It creates an image of human, ruling class, and male. It's Lord, not lady. None of that is in the actual word.
Um, in the translation that I have
Mm-hmm.
here
Yeah.
in English,
Mm-hmm.
um, they translated it Hashem, which means the name,
The
which is
name.
the way Jewish people, when
Yeah.
they encountered what you spelled, they would call it the name to
Right.
avoid
Yeah.
saying
So
the
that's like a euphemism.
right.
That's like us. I mean, completely opposite because it's obscene instead of sacred. We would say, oh, he used the F word. Similar kind of euphemism. But my main point here is, and to me, it's a complete. When I first came to understand this, it gave me a complete just shift of how to read this stuff, which is that this word Lord is not it's not a big old man in the sky, with a white beard and a crown. That it got represented that way in a bunch of really cool, but spiritually suspect Western religious art. Okay, it would be much more accurate to say. One way I've seen that word Yod He Vav He translated is like I am what I am, right? This
Yes.
kind of ongoingness of being. I've seen it translated as beingness, beingness, becomingness, something like that. So, which is much more deep and wide and consistent with our meditative experience than some big man. Right, so it's the ongoingness of beingness, the being becoming, the I am what I am, the everything being what it is my shepherd. Right?
That's great.
Isn't that
Interest.
great? Isn't that great? Yeah. And of
I
course
mean,
the
I
whole
was like, having been in the Psalms when I was a born again in my teen years, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna tune into this Psalm series, but now just the first part of this, I'm just so pleased to have joined.
Yay! Oh, words I love to hear, Scott. That's great. This is yeah. You needed this, right? So
I
so
I have
Do
I
you
have
want to hear it in Hebrew a little bit?
what number is it, please?
this is Psalm 23.
23.
23.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's hear it in. Let's hear a little in Hebrew, Tova.
Um, מזמור לדוד. אדוני רואי לא אחסר. בנאות דשא ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי ישובב ינחני, במעגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, דישנת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירודפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, you got me davening here. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Tova, do you know, is there a tradition of singing these? Is there are there melodies that have been handed down with these?
To some of them, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. I don't know if handed down or modern, but
Right.
I know that people sing some of the songs, but
Right.
not, I don't know
Yeah.
a melody for this one, even though this one is probably
Yeah.
the most universal, the most known also to Christians.
Right. Right. Okay. So let's look at some more of it. So the idea of beingness, of the way things are, the unfoldingness of existence, aka the Lord, is my shepherd. Of course, the idea is that we are the sheep, right? We are the sheep. What does the shepherd do? Takes care of the sheep, right? The makes sure, if a sheep gets caught in a crag or something, he takes care of them. There's this basic feeling of being taken care of, that somehow going with the flow of how things are, the unfoldingness of life, the Lord, it will shepherd us. It will get us where we need to go. I shall not want. Now, this is a word that gets misunderstood a lot because people think want means, these days in English, we use the word want to mean desire. But the older meaning, which was the meaning in Shakespeare's day, means I shall not go without. Right?
Lack.
I lack. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. Yes, I shall not lack. So when people misread this and think, oh, gee, here I am reading this thing in church that's telling me I shouldn't have desires, that's almost the opposite of what this is telling us. This is telling us that we're going to be taken care of, and our desires will, our desires that are in harmony with the unfolding of things, our desires will be fulfilled. We're not going to lack. We just have some faith, to have some faith in the way the shepherd is guiding you. Don't worry, you're going to get what you need. You're going to be taken care of. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. So green pastures, so those are the good ones. If you're a sheep, the green pastures are the ones, where you've got some nice grass to chomp on. And notice lie down. There's again this image of rest, image of peace, image of, you don't lie down when you're afraid. You don't lie down when when the wolf is around. So you know that you're safe, and it's okay to lie down, to be at rest. He leadeth me beside the still waters, right? The peaceful waters. And this is an image that to me also speaks of the settling down into beingness, which is what we do in meditation, right? There's waters that, there's the white water, and there's all the turbulent water, and then there's water when it becomes less turbulent, more settling down, and then when the water gets completely settled, it's still water. That's transcendence. That's the settling down of the mind. That is, for those of you who are familiar with yogic philosophy, that's the beginning of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. The very first verse of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, that's like the treatise on meditation, not on what we call yoga. Yoga in the true sense, uniting, getting it all together. And the very first verse says, Yogas chitta vridhi nirodha. Yogas chitta vridhi nirodha means yoga, union with the infinite, is the settling down of the mind stuff, is how it's often translated. The settling down of the mind stuff. It's the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He restoreth my soul. Well, that's interesting. What's the in the meditative traditions and the yogic traditions, what is the soul? The soul is Atman. Atman, right, is the self, the true self. And what is the great discovery about Atman is that Atman is the same as Brahman, the infinite, right? Our soul is, our soul, our essence, what we are in our, right? Once we get past the superficial changing parts of what we think we are. Oh, am I this name? No, the name's an arbitrary sound that my parents assigned to me so they could yell it out when I was running in the street. Right? Dean, get back here. Am I a body? No, the body keeps changing. Am I my thoughts, my opinions, all that stuff changed. And that's all stuff I have. That's why we say my body, my thoughts, my feelings, meaning all those thoughts and feelings and body pertain to someone. So, something that doesn't change. It's something that's not a body or a thought or a feeling, all that. And, that's what we also can call my soul, my essence, the truth of what I am. And that is free of all those finite things. So that's the infinite. That's the boundless. So really, in one sense, the soul never needs to be restored. I mean, what really gets restored is our correct appreciation of what the soul is. Right, our correct appreciation gets restored. Our correct experience. Right? Our soul, we could say, gets restored to our conscious attention. By the way, Yafa, look out the window. It's beautiful pink sunset clouds going on here in Santa Monica at the moment. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Tova, can you help us out with that verse, with what that would say literally in the Hebrew?
In Hebrew, it says he will like enliven my soul, and he would lead me in circles of righteousness.
Circles?
Circles is the word, not wall, not path. In circles of righteousness.
Huh. And the last,
And to me, that's my association. The water, the still water,
Mhm.
still has ripples,
Yeah,
the ripple effect,
yeah.
and the ripple effect is the effect of righteousness.
Oh, that's the circles you're saying. Uh-huh.
That's my association to the
Right.
circles. But the Hebrew word is a word, ma'agalim, is circles.
Interesting.
Circles of justice or righteousness.
Wait, say the Hebrew word again.
Bema'aglei, which is the possessive of ma'agalim. Ma'agalei, ma'agal is circle. Ma'agalim is circles. Ma'agalei, which is what is said here, is the possessive. Ma'agalei tzedek.
But you know what's very interesting is that sounds quite similar to mandala
Yes,
in Sanskrit, which
yes.
of course is the whole circle of life, the whole circle.
Ma'agal and mandala sound very similar.
Yeah. So there's something going on there. So let's go on. This is verse 4 here. Here we go. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. So the rod and the staff, that's of course continuing the imagery of the shepherd. That's what he uses to keep the sheep going in the right place. But now this is a thing that many people overlook. It doesn't say, I walk through the valley of death. It's, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I will fear no evil. See, death is not a problem. Actually, this is what we were, when we were chatting at the beginning about, right, the old Woody Allen joke. I'm not afraid of death. I just don't want to be there when it happens. You're not there when it happens, right? Or rather, the I that I usually think I am. That is the personality, the name, the thinking mind, all of that. Death, by definition, is that going away, right? So, and that's the part of me that's afraid of death. And that never gets to experience death. It gets to experience, some process of dying, of moving toward it. But this thing, death, that people worry about, there is no experienceable thing called death that we can be afraid of. What it is the shadow of death. That is the emotional shadow, the psychological shadow that the misunderstood idea of death casts over us. And I think that for most people, probably that shadow is somewhere in the background. It's back there in the corner all the time. If they haven't really dug deep into and hope, ideally experienced the soul, enlivened the soul, restoreth the soul, experience the Atman as, this Atman is Brahman. This is not body. This is not a thought or feeling. This is not time or space. This is something that can't die because it's never born. Atman is Brahman. There is no reasonable way to be afraid of death. It's just the shadow. It's just the emotional shadow of the misunderstanding of it. Once we know that, then the fear goes away. We don't have to try to stop being afraid. I will fear no evil. For thou art with me. What is with me? The Lord, the beingness, the ongoing unfolding of things as they are and as they should be.
Dean,
Yes.
I wanted to ask Tova if the translation of the Valley of the Shadow of Death,
Mm-hmm.
how she would interpret that from Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the
Yeah.
same?
It is, I also want to give an interpretation here, but it says like this, verbatim. Even if I shall go walk in the valley of either death or shadow of death, I shall not fear badness, any badness, because you are with me, and you rod and you, my ability to lean on you,
Hmm.
they will pacify me. But I want to read to you.
So that part. So what you just read is very close, essentially the same as the King James.
Yeah, but here is an interpretation which I'm reading.
Mhm.
I'm not saying it,
Mhm.
which I think leads to something that you, anyway,
Mhm.
if the interpretation is the morbid valley is a characterization of all exiles. And I would think exile from yourself, and exile from your spiritual self, and
Mhm.
exile from God.
What,
So
Tova? What was the very beginning of that sentence?
the morbidity,
Morbid.
Morbid. Okay.
the morbid valley is a characterization of all exiles.
Uh-huh.
Alternatively, it is a place so dangerous that it is as dark and forbidding as the grave. But I like the idea of exile. It is when you are exiled
Yeah.
from your true self
Yeah.
or from your spiritual self, then you encounter danger and badness.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. You know, this whole concept of the exile, which is so prevalent throughout the Tanakh, throughout the idea of being uprooted, of being uprooted from your homeland and trying to get back and trying to get back. Um, um, and it's very interesting that in the 20th century, this particular race of people got their homeland back in a physical sense. Okay, now we have a state of Israel, but and of course that has a very deep value of its own. But I think what you're pointing out, Tova, is so important. They're not just talking about a piece of real estate here. They're
Yeah.
talking that the true exile is being is needing, going back to verse 3, needing to have your soul restored, being exiled from the experience of what you are,
But
and being exiled to and anything else is going to be more superficial, a thought, an attitude, a possession, an experience, an object, a story. It's all going to be a bunch of stories.
so this line is sort of a response to the previous line where he says that he would lead me in the circles of righteousness, or
Hmm.
and we associated to mandala.
Hmm.
So the next line is, it's when you are outside of that mandala, outside of that circle. That's why you are exiled from that which is the circle of righteousness and goodness. Then you will encounter badness.
Got it.
And
So that's like it's like the charmed circle, and then we're outside of the charmed circle. We're in the no man's land.
exactly.
But that also is okay. So we have this pervasive okayness, whether we're in the place of comfort You know, we could think of it in terms of when we're in the place of comfort, being, you know, when we're non-exiled, when we're settled in meditation, when we're in the still waters, where you know, in that place of safety and tranquility, everything's fine. And then when we're out here and we've forgotten it, when we're just completely, you know, when we're a mess and and we've forgotten all our best teachings and all that, we're also still fine. You know, it's all grace. It's all grace, and the big view becomes more and more that, oh, it's all grace, and it was all grace all along, right? And that's that in that next bit. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies, right? Mine enemies, everything that seems wrong. This thing is a threat to me. This thing is gonna destroy me because I think I'm a thing that can be destroyed, right? But my cup runneth over, right? It's you know, it's like we go through life like little Oliver Twist. Please, sir, I want some more. You know, with our little cappuccino cup. Please, sir, I want some more. You know, just trying to get our desires filled. And then, but, you know, going back to the beginning, I shall not want. I'm not, at this point, I don't lack because I'm experiencing the fullness of life. You know, there's so much of this stuff, especially in kind of new agey circles of, oh, prosperity teaching and you know, and a lot of it is just in this superficial way of, oh, you do this particular, you know, mumbo jumbo and you'll get a thing. But the real prosperity, of course, is finding out that life itself, existence itself, no matter what's going on, whether you get the Cadillac or don't get the Cadillac, your cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And I'm guessing this is Tova. This word goodness here, is this something along the lines of like justice, righteousness?
No, it
No.
says only good and mercy, and it's not follow me, it's will run after me, will chase me.
Chase me.
Yes.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Chase me.
That is fantastic. We've spent our lives chasing it. And because we keep running, it has to chase us. We just have to stop by the still waters and let it catch up to you. Wow, Tova, you just made my day. Shall chase me, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Of course, because it's all the house of the Lord. It's all
And forever,
yeah.
for the length of days.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Wow. Wow. Man. Look how lucky we are. And then this is here, and we've got this forever. We can keep coming back to this and all this other good stuff that was left to us by King David and Shakespeare and Lao Tzu and, you know, Shankara, all those folks. We are so rich. Yeah. Okay, so it's time for us to go on and have our cup of dinner run over. So let's do more Psalms next time. I want to get to the Psalms in the book here. So we'll do that next time. Okay?
Okay.
So,
Thank you so much, Tova,
Yeah.
too. That was really cool.
Yeah, very
Yes.
definitely.
Thank you, my pleasure.
yes, thank you.
That's nice, Liliana got
Finally,
to.
finally, I can learn. I can hear my mother tongue.
Oh,
And it
good.
was nice last week. Liliana got to help us with the Spanish, and now Tova got to help
Yeah.
us with this. It's great.
Yeah. What other languages do we have? Anyone? Anyone? Louisa, do you speak Italian? No. Okay.
I have a hard time with English.
No, I do not, because my parents spoke it
Yeah.
only to speak about. You know what?
Yes.
I understood it at
Yeah.
childhood. I knew what they were saying,
Oh, you
but they
mean
spoke it.
when they didn't want the kids to know what they were saying?
Yes.
Yes,
Right.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
That's
But I
my
understood it
yes, my
because the language was there in my head.
right. That's when my parents would
And I'm
go.
certain that
My-
if I studied it,
Right. My parents would go, Sha, red Yiddish. Like, shh, speak Yiddish.
speak Yiddish, he'll never
Yiddish.
understand.
Sha Yiddish.
But
Yeah.
you knew what they were saying.
Some of it, yeah. Some of it. Yep. Okay. So thanks, guys. This is so much fun.
Yes.
Oh, that was
See you later.
wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dean, are you doing the Rupert Spire retreat this Friday in 5 days online? You and Yafa or not?
We didn't know about it. We'll
We
look
didn't-
into it.
we-
Maybe.
We'll look into it. Thank you.
It
Thank you.
starts on Friday. I signed up for it. I think
Oh,
it's-
Oh,
fantastic.
Great.
Okay.
Thank
Everyone
you.
else, if you have not experienced Rupert Spira, or if you have, then go to his website. Just Google Rupert Spira, Spira, like spiral, but leave off the L, and see what Liliana's talking about, because Rupert he's just a gem. Yep. Okay. See ya.
Would you spell that again?
Yes.
Rupert?
Rupert is Rupert. Rupert.
Uh-huh.
And then Spira is S as in Sam, P
Uh-huh.
as in Paul,
Yeah.
IRA.
Thank you.
And Judy, if you have trouble finding the information, send me an email and I'll send you a direct link.
Oh, why don't you just do that? That'd be a big
Well,
help.
give it a try. Come on, you're a big
Okay.
girl. Give it a try.
I
And,
know.
and
I
if,
am big,
and if
but-
you can't find it, drop me an email.
Okay.
Also,
Thank you.
what's
Okay.
really interesting is that it's so affordable now that it's online.
Yeah.
Several thousands of dollars to be able to be with him for 5 days. And now,
Yes, I know. Right.
yes, so
Yeah.
everyone
But,
can take advantage of that.
yeah, it's because he has his retreats when they're in person in really nice places.
Uh-huh.
Like Italian villas and stuff. Okay, see you guys.
Bye. Thank